Hey basketball players, today I'm going to talk to you about how you can avoid trap defenses and how you can also beat the double team. Let's get down to the clipboard, let's check out these basic examples, but also I'm going to give you more advanced examples at the end of this video. Okay, so really quickly, some of the basics behind avoiding a trap. That is, stay away from the sidelines. You do not want to get anywhere close to the sidelines. You want to try and stay in the middle of the court. Why do I say that? The reason is once you have got to the sideline, let's say we're getting forced towards that sideline just because it's easier for me to explain. You're going to have a player who is not allowing forward progression. You've got a sideline where you can't obviously go in that direction. And then you've got another player who is now guarding the middle of the court. So the only way you can go is to reverse your dribble. Now, once you get to half court, that is when you have essentially got nowhere else to go. And that is the best area to trap if you're a defense. So as a player, you want to stay in the middle of the court, and then you also want to try and pass as early as possible. Why do I say this? That's because, as we can see here, this was a screen and roll, and that player is going around that screen, and it's going to turn in to a double team. He has no pass towards the middle because this player is taking that pass away, and he's taking away any way of doing any kind of a bounce pass towards that player in the center of the court. If this player was quick earlier and he noticed that was happening, he could have done a one-handed pass over to this player and the trap would have been avoided. This defensive player would have been able to come out and defend that shot, and now this player who's rolling towards the basket would have been a nice pass to him for a layup. But a lot of players get into a mindset of wanting to get the assist themselves, or they want to try and score themselves, especially when they've got a double team coming towards them, and that's when their mind starts rushing. It starts going 1,000 thoughts a second, and they can't make a proper decision. So, number one is always take a deep breath when you've got a double team coming towards you. You need to think fast, but you want to try and get rid of that ball just as fast. Now, what he should have done is make that pass, but now it's too late. That player here has cut off that pass. This player is now in position to cut off either pass here if he's fast enough. So now this player is now pretty well screwed in a way. But what happens is now he tries to reverse, but he's staying under control, but he is reversing his dribble. Now, you only want to do one reverse dribble. You don't really want to go more than 2, 3, or even 4 reverse dribbles, because you can take a reverse dribble and make space between you and the defender, do a crossover dribble, and take back the middle of the court. You can try and do that. You can also try and attack the slower player, which we'll see later. But this player just continues to go back. He gets caught. Now he's picked up the ball, and he is essentially at half court. He's got 2 fast and taller players defending him. He has nowhere to go. And because of this, he makes an ill-advised pass that gets picked off. So here we have Trey Young. Trey Young is a very good defender. There are times where he does get stuck off of a double team. However, this is a great example as to how you can beat the double team or a trap. So he now uses that screen and roll, but now he's got 2 taller defenders on him who are going to be double teaming him. He has Joel Embiid, who is slow but big, and then he has Simmons, who is big but fast. So, who should he take as a smaller, faster player? Should he take the fast Simmons, or should he take the slow Embiid? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if he has nowhere to pass to because those 2 players are a lot taller than him, what he can do is attack the slower player. And that's what he does here. He does a one quick reverse dribble fake where he stops on both feet, and he does move his shoulder just a bit to freeze Embiid. And because of that, he's able to get Embiid off of his feet, and he's able to attack Embiid. And that's what he's able to do here, and he was able to get out of that trap defense. He's now able to draw another double team, and he's got a player open for a 3-point shot. So now we have Ja Morant. Ja Morant is being double teamed at this point in time. He has a lot of the court to access. He doesn't have anyone to pass to, because if he passes to this player over here, this guy's going to pick it off. If he passes over towards this player, Carter's going to pick it off. And if he passes here, this player is going to pick it off. This player is a really good defender because he's taking the position of guarding 2 spots, and he could be easily able to pick off those passes. Meanwhile, these players are tall, so he is pretty well out of the picture anyways. So, what does Ja Morant do? He does what I mentioned earlier. He does a quick reverse dribble, and then he attacks. Only one reverse dribble, and then he attacks the middle of the court. And because of that, now they are stuck, and especially against a 3-2 zone, which he has here. He has a 1-on-3 situation. That means he's got multiple players who are open. Now, obviously, the Hawks were defending the center really strong. They had 2 players on that center. So, they now have a wide open player along the wing, and they were able to make that pass, and he was able to take that shot. He didn't make the shot, but he took it. Now, for all those players who think that it's okay to look down when you're dribbling, this is a great example as to why you shouldn't. So, this player here, he is now trying to attack, but that center comes out and enters into a double team. Now, as we can see here, he is looking down. He cannot see past his defender, so he's essentially stuck. And now he loses his dribble and he picks up the ball. Almost picks up the ball. Looked like he did there. But now he has lost control. He has also lost his balance because he's stepped on the opposing player's foot. Because he kept on looking down at the ball, he was too worried about keeping control of that ball. He has now entered into a trap with another player, trapping him along the sidelines, and he really has nowhere else to go. Now, because of this, they're able to really trap him, and he keeps on reversing. And he reverses right back. That is like a picture-perfect trap. Right at half court, you got nowhere to go. You've got nowhere to go there. And you've got nowhere to go there. You literally are stuck, and that is the worst position to be stuck in. Now, another thing that you do not want to do is to pick up the ball when you're being trapped. You want to keep your dribble alive, but make every dribble worth it. So, what we see here is this player does not keep his dribble alive. He turns his back towards the double team, which is a massive mistake. There's literally nowhere to pass to. Like, nobody is over here. So, you should never do this in the first place. If a double team is coming towards you, do not turn your back to them. You cannot now see what these 2 players are doing, but you also have 0 people to pass to. That is a huge mistake. But this player then picks up the ball, and he's trapped. There's nobody open. Nobody knows what to do because you've picked up the ball. You've killed your dribble. Now you've also been trapped. You have 2 taller players on you, and you have nowhere to go. That's just going to end up with a jump ball or a turnover. Now, in this next play, what we're going to see is Chris Paul. He is handling the ball. Now, going back to what I was mentioning earlier on in this video, make sure to either attack the slower player fast and quickly, or make that pass out of the double team before it happens. This is when scouting another team really helps you out before a game. Now, what we're going to see here is Chris Paul. He knows he's going to get trapped. He sees that player going around that screen. He knows that he's not going to be in a position to beat this trap. He knows that this trap is going to happen, and because of that, that player goes over top of that screen. This player is popping out to either hedge or double team or trap. And what we're going to see here is now Chris Paul, because he recognized that player is going over the screen and this player is hedging, that means that he needs to pass that ball over top and to get that ball to bounce right in front of the player who is just screening for him. And because of this, he gets out of the trap. Now, we have a 4-on-3, essentially a 3-on-2 situation. Now, this player is coming down to defend that weak side drive because that would be an easy alley-oop. And then, because of that, even though he's still coming down, it's still too slow, and that player is able to go in for that layup. Another really great way, and the first pass you should really look to do when you're getting double teamed, is into the center of the court. The reason why you want to do that is because now if that player gets it in the high post, generally speaking in a trap defense, it's not just a regular double team off of a man-to-man, it's usually a trap off of a zone. And to get the ball in the middle of a zone, which is roughly in that high post or in that free throw line area, that's where you're really going to be doing a lot of damage. So off of that screen and roll, you really want to hit that player right in the middle of that key. Now, this should be your first pass, and this is what Kemba Walker is able to do here. He makes that first pass, and that player is already at the center of that zone. Now, we have a 4-on-3 situation. And because of that, what we see here, he looks first. He could have taken that shot. I'm not going to lie, he could have taken that shot. But he looks to pass it out on that wing. And what happens now is that wing gets that ball, and he's able to make the extra pass for the shot. Now, I've cut that off, but whatever. Either way, we see what was able to happen here. Now, we have the pass to the high post, which makes it now a 4-on-3 situation that allows your team to score more points. Now, if a zone defense initiates a double team along the side of the court, what I mean by that is, let's say you guys set a screen towards a player who is along the side of the court, whether this be a 4-out offense or a 5-out offense, this can happen. And you set the screen, and now they've initiated the double team. And what happens over here? There's nobody on this side of the court. So if you can take one or two more dribbles out towards the right side or towards the center of the court, what you're really doing here is having these players still trying to force you towards the sideline. Now, if you're this player, you need to do one of a few things. First, what I want to see you do is to call for the ball out on that three-point line, especially if you're a three-point shooter. If you're not a three-point shooter, then you could start cutting towards the rim depending on which players are defending the ball handler. If they're taller, then generally speaking, you want to go as wide as possible. If these two players are shorter, then I'd be cutting towards the rim and looking to either score or make the second pass out towards a three-point shot on the opposite side, which then could enter into a hockey assist, it's like to be called, where this player then gets that player coming down, that defensive player, and makes the extra pass out to him to make that three. Wow, that's a lot of lines. But anyways, what we see here is a pass out towards the wing. I cut that off again, but he basically takes that shot. Anyways, I hope that this video helps you beat the trap or double team in basketball. If it does, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.